Welcome back for one last exploration in video games and the art that seems to have inspired... Okay, I have a confession to make. This is actually the second version of this project. I worked on it for 13 hours over the course of a week, and there was a serious glitch on my computer last night that cost me all of it in a single stroke. So everything that you see now has been done over the course of like the 25.25 hours that I had left at the time. So yeah, I don't really have too much time for the full introduction that I would have liked, and there are some things that I cut out that I would have liked to include in the final, but I think that what I have here is still sufficient. So let's get right down to it. All right, we're going to be going over 3 games this time. We're going to be going over Elden Ring again, Infinity Blade, and Watch Dogs. And respectively, those were influenced by archaic architecture, old paintings, and street art. Okay, ready? Here we go. Infinity Blade is a trilogy of games by Chair Entertainment and a duology of books by Brandon Sanderson. In a mysterious world of seemingly post-apocalyptic nature, mortals are oppressed and constantly war against a race of immortals known as the Deathless. Their regime is all-encompassing and tyrannical in nature, and as it is with any tyrannical regime, there has been a bit of historical revisionism and appropriation on their part. One of them, named Radriar, the self-styled God King, is most notable in this regard for taking a number of old paintings and making adjustments to them to better suit his own likeness. I'm rather short on time here, so I won't make any effort to pronounce the names of these artists. It's entirely beyond my capability, but I will explain the paintings and show comparisons of the ones found in the game. The artist names still will be displayed on the screen alongside their work. After defeating Radriar's doppelganger steward at his stronghold at Larioth, you can explore his office study and find a number of these paintings of his. The first of these paintings is simply titled Napoleon I. As you can see, apart from a darker color scheme, the only real difference made to this painting is the regal mask placed over Napoleon's face. Radriar seems to have a certain fondness for Napoleon as a fellow ruler, as this is not the first time that he's used his likeness to depict himself. This next painting, Napoleon I on his imperial throne, can clearly be seen in the background of Radriar's study, but once again, apart from the darker color scheme, there's really no difference apart from the kingly mask over Napoleon's face. This last painting is one that I couldn't quite capture footage of, but thanks to my knowledge of modding was able to extract directly from the source of the game, along with all the others. Its origin is titled Pope Gregory the Great, Church Father. As what is essentially a god to ordinary people in this world, it's no surprise that Radriar would closely associate himself with holy figures. It may be easy to dismiss these paintings as mere plagiarism on the part of the Deathless, shameless at that, but I think that it speaks to their character somewhat. These paintings are rather old by our time, and it is implied that Infinity Blade takes place far, far into the distant future. All of the Deathless wear masks or helms that completely obstruct their faces. They believe that as gods, mortals are unworthy to look upon them as they are. And seeing how they have either outlived or slain anything that could possibly recognize the origins of these paintings, they may simply think to themselves that if no one has ever seen their face, and no one could possibly recognize the faces of the men in these paintings, what difference does it make how they use this art? They may as well be one and the same, and no one would tell the difference. They don't just conquer the people that they outlive with their immortality, they conquer the legacy they leave behind. Welcome back to the Lands Between. In previous projects, I explained what connections there were between ancient mythology, the art inspired by it, and the imagery of the game itself. This time, I would like to look at the architecture that inspired the world and many of its greatest sights. The crumbling Farum Azula is the prison of the blasphemous and the accursed. It exists beyond time and contains the final remnants of a long-gone civilization. Looking upon the Cathedral of Malekith, the Black Blade will be drawn to Pisa in Italy. Though this particular location is often known for its iconic leaning tower, let us instead look at the baptistery of St. John. Although much of the surrounding structure appears to draw influence from other sources that I sadly failed to identify, the Roman Colosseum could be one possible contender, the central structure appears to be a near perfect replica with some slight adjustments. From other angles we can see further resemblance, including on the roof. The purpose of a baptistery is, as you may have guessed, to hold baptisms. Malekith the Black Blade is a Baptist in his own right, redeeming the greatest enemies of the Golden Order through destined death, a final end to both the body and soul. Returning to Liurnia of the Lakes, let us look once more upon the Academy of Rea Lucaria. Then compare it to the Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany. This castle was designed with the explicit intention of resembling something out of a storybook or fantasy novel. Just a little piece of magic in what is otherwise an increasingly mundane world. As now, it appears to be used as the foundation for one of the most magical locations in Elden Ring, a school for sorcerers. And of course, it would not be a game by Miyazaki if it did not have some large amount of inspiration from the ancient Greeks. This is the Mogwin Dynasty Palace, and this is the Parthenon in Greece. Both were built with the intention of being places of worship. The Parthenon for Athena, goddess of wisdom, and the Mogwin Dynasty Palace for the Formless Mother, a mysterious god who granted knowledge to Mog, the Lord of Blood, so that he may slay his enemies. Part of why I believe the world of Elden Ring feels so alive and historic in nature, so lived in, is because it draws inspiration from so many real cultures that existed long ago and have great storied histories themselves. Some have said that we are what we leave behind. Just as these great structures built long before our time tell stories of their own, so too do these in Elden Ring, even though their creators have long since gone where we cannot follow. Watch Dogs is a 2014 open-world story-driven game by Ubisoft Montreal. In 2014, in a world where technology progressed a little bit differently and a little bit faster, Chicago has been made into the world's first smart city thanks to the CTOS. As this is a city with an extensive criminal network of hitmen and fixers, those with the capability to hack have become apex predators as they use the city itself as a weapon. You play as the hacker vigilante Aiden Pierce as he investigates a string of hits connected to his family and the death of his niece. The extensive detail that they put into the city itself as a replica of the real Chicago, with slight adjustments, is a work of art in and of itself. However, they also added many lifelike aspects to it, not least of all its graffiti lining the walls and streets of the city. Naturally, when we learned about the 18 types of graffiti earlier in class, I had to see for myself if I could identify some in the game. What I first found were these murals in the Wards district, large, colorful paintings that covered entire stretches of walls in vibrant detail. I found no shortage of stickers in the Loop district. Some of these were used to advertise for independent digital art and music. Others were used to deface political ads, a sign of opposition. I also found a number of stencils across the city, most of them with recurring visual motifs used by the bitter hacktivist movement DeadSec. Many of these were political statements against the employment of the CTOS in the city. Skulls and eyes made up the most common of their symbols, and many of their pieces would seek to derogate or deride those who would surrender their personal freedoms for the sake of convenience and saving a little bit of money. Sometimes you could find gangs using straight letters to mark their territory. But they're also used in one of the most vibrant locations in the game, the Unicorn and Dragon Pub, which also employs hollows and stickers to decorate its interior with an urban art aesthetic. In the early 2010s, Ubisoft was known for making worlds that felt both alive and real. It's marks like these, left by ordinary people that you never even see or interact with, that help contribute to that feeling. So here we are again at the end. Finally made it, in spite of the little mishap that I mentioned at the beginning. This class has taught me a lot about things that I never would have pursued myself to begin with. But although I still don't have any intention of making a career of this or anything like that, it has given me something that I will take away from it and that I am grateful for. That is, it's given me a new perspective and outlook on the art that I would seek out and consume every single day. The way that all these old things I otherwise would have paid no mind to have influenced and changed the direction of the things that I do care about, it's been eye-opening, to say the least. I just find that really interesting, and I have this class to thank for that. So, thank you. And thank you for watching these, of course. It's, sorry for going on a tangent here. I know that I try a little too hard. I just like making videos. But it really was enlightening, and if by some miracle these have given you an interest in video games for one reason or another, or at least how they relate to art, then, I don't know. Let's talk sometime. Thanks again. That's all.